80% of the people who tried prayer felt the power boost. So what is this power boost? Actually, it's more than one thing, so let's discuss a few of them. The first is luck. You literally become more lucky and things just start to go your way when you engage truthfully in prayer. This is one of the chief differences between meditation and prayer. When you start praying for something, a solution to a problem, guidance to make a decision, or a fresh opportunity to take control of your life, oftentimes you'll get it. Some of these experiences can be so surreal that you never want to share it with anybody. Prayer primes your brain to detect opportunities and find solutions. It is literally a strategic asset. The second advantage is the aura of command. Consistent prayer gives you this Primarch aura, basically a halo of charisma that you never had before. This happens because you move with a purpose through life and people are going to tend to notice. Gone is the gloom of nihilism. You are wrapped in this armor of purpose that most people can absolutely detect. Most people will be drawn to it, both men and women, especially women though, because they're more perceptive about these things. I'm not speaking of sexual attraction. I'm speaking of something different. People will trust you more, not because you're using some of these Robert Greene's disgusting little weasel tactics, but rather you're genuinely a more trustworthy person. By the way, if you've read 48 Laws of Power, you need to watch my video on it to understand its weaknesses as well as its strengths. You become memorable to the people around you because nobody carries themselves with that kind of surety anymore. You aren't just thinking about the next exam, the tax deadline, or how to approach this damn Starbucks barista. You're thinking of higher and greater things. The fourth advantage is the death of nihilism. Here's a question for you. How much light does it take to light up a dark room? Not much. If you can light up a single candle, you can pretty much see around you. No matter how much darkness there is, the smallest flame can still defeat it. Light has an asymmetric advantage over the dark, and so it is with hope against despair. It is impossible to be consumed by nihilism when you have a habit of daily prayer. The fifth advantage, resilience. Prayer builds faith and faith builds resilience. Sometimes the situations that we find ourselves are so miserable that there seems to be no logical reason to continue the struggle. But therein lies the weakness of logic. Logic relies on knowledge, and knowledge is always incomplete or sometimes incorrect. Sometimes you need a reason to continue the fight that is illogical, that is not based on facts. Sometimes you need faith that it will all work out in the end. And so, it is better to start with the habit of prayer before circumstances force you to. The fifth advantage is physical strength. You may not believe this until you try this out. Dedicate the last few reps or even the last full set to the heavens, and you will feel the second wind. You'll feel the weights becoming lighter, and you'll be able to get more reps in. It's kind of crazy. It's something you can literally try today to verify that I'm telling the truth. The sixth advantage, protection from addiction. Most people don't know this, but people don't get addicted to porn because they're horny or drugs because they need the high. Rather, there's a vacuum inside the psyche that they're trying to fill. You get a massive power boost in terms of willpower if you manage to squeak out a prayer before you act out your addiction. Now I ask you a question. Have you felt any of these in your life? If so, tell me in the comments below, because this will be so helpful for guys from different perspectives to have this discussion as to our personal experiences. Now I know that I've given you selfish, self-centered, and practical and materialistic reasons to consider the act of worship. And besides that, I'm sure many are thinking that these benefits are nothing but placebo. Well, let me answer the first objection first, and here's the reason why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because the reason you start is not the reason you stay. You think about going to the gym. Ideally, you're motivated to go to the gym because of the innate health benefits. However, most of us will start going to the gym because we had a bad breakup, we were bullied in school, so we wanted to toughen up, or even the most common one, we just wanted to get laid. But once you start working out, you see benefits that you didn't even expect. You start learning about diet and nutrition, and now you have more energy and focus than ever before. You wanted to get good with chicks, but your new confidence actually gives you more success in business and college. The reason you start going to the gym isn't necessarily the reason you stay. The same journey is true for prayer, and I know that because I've been on the same road. You start doing it for the power boost, but you stay doing it for higher reasons. I'm going to tell you how to reap these rewards and how you can get started. With time, you'll find your own way. You might choose to wholeheartedly embrace religion, or you might not. That is a personal choice that I am not going to try to influence you with. What I can help you with is just getting started. The central question of this communique is, does prayer work? And the answer is an unchallenged yes from every mud hut tribe to the grandest civilizations man has ever built. If these folk didn't see a benefit on a day-to-day basis, they would have stopped wasting their time with this. Because after all, people in the past had zero free time, but they always made time to pray. Now let's look at a different context. Let's look at physical health. Our modern diet is trash and everybody kind of knows this. But what happens when you remove the modern ingredients from our diet like seed oils and replace them with traditional ingredients like butter or tallow? We get a power boost. Let's look at hormonal health. As soon as we get exposure to daily sunshine like our ancestors did, we get a power boost. When we look at social health, as soon as we focus on real life interaction over internet interaction, we get a power boost. The modern age we live in is not inherently bad. It's just that we have divorced ourselves so much from our biological and cultural roots that we start becoming ill. Health, as you know, has 5 aspects: physical, hormonal, mental, social, and spiritual. It's a surprise to nobody that society is ill in all 5 of these aspects to the degree that we move away from what our ancestors did. We live in a godless age, a post-religion age of nihilism and direction. We live in an age of physical, hormonal, mental, and social and spiritual decline. For the first time in human history, we've had the hubris to think that we are the masters of the universe. We think that the scientists in their lab coats have it all figured out. The funniest part is, though, that the greatest scientists of the ages have believed in God. It's Werner Heisenberg, the father of quantum mechanics, who said, "The first gulp from the glass of the natural sciences will turn you into an atheist. But at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you." So what is he speaking of? He's talking about the fact that when you spend time to learn about creation, it's the same as spending time to learn about He who creates. In modern times, our very own Chad neurobiologist Andrew Huberman talks about prayer out loud every single day. He talks about publicly and openly how his life changed when he restarted and embraced his childhood practice of prayer. This video is for atheists, agnostics, pagans, Christians, everybody. This is because I have no intention of pushing my belief system on you. I have zero authority to tell you what to believe. For most of my adult life, I was an atheist. I was an atheist because I was logical and skeptical. I wanted to make sense of the universe without resorting to assumptions and hand-waving. I did not accept the idea that a holy book could be proof for the religion because that would be just circular reasoning. More importantly, I found no spiritual resonance in the houses of religion. It looked to me then, as it looks to me now, that most people at these places of worship are just LARPing. None of it was inspiring to me, and I had no time for such things, so I just dismissed it. I assumed that prayer itself was meaningless because it felt like Santa Claus wish fulfillment for adults. But here's the thing. It works. Anybody who engages truthfully and honestly with prayer will tell you that it just works. You don't have to take my word for it. If you try what I'm going to suggest for 7 days and if it doesn't work out, then it just quit. You might say that prayer is just a placebo. That's fine. I'm not here to argue with anybody. The fact is there are life-changing benefits that you can choose to access if you want to. I'm not making a spiritual argument or even a scientific argument. I'm making an intentionally practical argument because we live in a materialistic society, not a spiritual one. I cannot prove that God exists, nor that He doesn't. However, I can prove that prayer has tangible benefits. It's a testable hypothesis. You can test this out right now, well, in the 7-day frame, and see if I'm right or wrong. The worst outcome is you wasted a couple minutes. If I'm right, however, you just change your life forever. If a belief system or practice improves your life and gives you power, there's no reason to not at least give it a shot. Even Jordan Peterson is in line with this message. When people ask him if he believes in God, he always answers, "I act as though God exists." He doesn't give a yes or no. I always assumed that he was trying to weasel his way out of it. He doesn't want to commit one way or other. But now I have a deeper appreciation for his wisdom. What he's saying is, actions speak louder than words. If he acts as though God wants him to, then that is more valuable than just saying that he believes in God. Besides, it's impossible to choose to have faith. Like I said in my previous video, where I discuss the history and future of religion and make a prediction as to what's coming in the internet age. Faith is not a switch that you can turn on or off. You cannot choose to have faith even if you wanted to. You could be a naturally skeptical and logical person who simply cannot accept this stuff without proof. That's fine. In this video, I haven't actually told you to believe in anything. I'm only here to tell you the practical and materialistic benefits of prayer. If you eventually change your views after engaging in this practice, that's all you. That's nothing to do with me. I'm going to give you a practical guide and framework to get you started. The first step is we need to understand the nature of God. We need a framework to understand God that is not so philosophical and abstract that we lose any sense of intuitive understanding. If we'll think of God in the same way as our ancestors did, they thought of him as a father. Christianity calls God the divine Father, one of the three aspects of the Holy Trinity. The pagans worship Deus Pater, or Sky Father. This is Zeus of the Greeks. This is Jupiter of the Romans. This is Indra of my forebears. Regardless of your beliefs, it is clear that we as a species have this intuition that God is a heavenly Father who rules over all. Let's use that exact same picture of God as we move forward. Imagine you were a father and you had a son. You'd like to shower your son with gifts and love all the time, but you also want to see your son grow up to meet his innate potential. This means you can and will help him, but only if he's earned your favor. If your son is honest, hardworking, resourceful, and receptive to your advice, then of course you'll give him a little boost. And on the other hand, if your son is a lying, cheating little prick, you might let him have success for a little while, but at the end, you're going to teach him a harsh lesson. This is the intuition for how God works. The second step, you don't need to explain your beliefs or your faith to anybody. It's not your job to be a spirit guide to anybody, perhaps except your own children and your wife. Strangers don't need to understand or be convinced. This is personal. If it makes sense to you and you gain benefit from it, then literally the entire globe can call you a fool, and it wouldn't matter. To be a man of faith in this modern world is to be the ultimate nonconformist. We live in a society that actively tries to snuff out any vestige of the spiritual and the divine. Wonder is not permitted here. Only bureaucratic truth in the form of peer-reviewed journals is available here. I want you to understand this. Science is a powerful tool to understand reality, but its greatest strength is also its greatest weakness. Science relies on the ability to replicate results. If an observation is non-replicable, it is considered junk. But here's the thing. There are observations that you can make that are true, yet they are non-replicable. So many stories in history have men doing heroic deeds because they saw a vision. If a modern man was to see a vision that he couldn't explain, he would immediately dismiss it as a hallucination and consider himself to be a schizophrenic. Don't be a modern man. Have the courage to believe your own eyes, your own ears, your own senses, your own intuition over trusting the words of others. This is why I always insist on the primacy of direct personal observation and testing, and to have faith in your own intuition. Even when it comes to health and diet, topics which I am passionate about and have covered in this channel a couple times, I openly tell you to doubt my words until you try them and see for yourself. And so it is with worship. Try and see for yourself with 100% sincerity. Don't take my word for it. Third step. It is important to be very careful what you ask for. If you ask for material things like cars and money and women, you will likely get it, but you need to be very careful because stuff like that comes at a heavy cost. The greatest things you can ask for will actually strengthen your bond with the Father. Think about this. If you're a kid and you ask your father for a PS5, you might get it, but there's no improvement in the bond between you and the Father. If anything, if you spend all your time playing video games, the bond with your father might actually suffer. On the other hand, if you ask your father to get you a gym membership to the gym that he goes to, now we're on to something. Not only do you get your father's respect, but your father will actually grow more fond of you and support you in your future endeavors and spend more time with you. Much better to ask for things which will actually help you become a better person rather than ask for physical stuff that you own. You can ask for good health. You can ask for the strength to be an honest man in a dishonest time. You can ask for the courage to sacrifice pleasure for future growth. Step 4. You use your voice. There is a difference between thinking thoughts in your head versus saying them out loud. There is a difference between thought and action. Huberman actually talks about this, how he verbally expresses prayer rather than just saying it in his head. The third sentence in Genesis is, "And God said, let there be light, and there was light." God didn't think light into existence. In the Christian tradition, he spoke light into existence. Now, there's a question as to what you should say, how you should say it, and I'll give you a basic guide after step 5. Speaking of, step 5 is consistency and progressive overload. We know how important this stuff is when we think of the gym or even meditation. The same is true for prayer. That being said, there are some clear differences. You cannot really track progress. You cannot buy better equipment or more supplements. However, you can feel the progress, and if you can put numbers on it, you can absolutely feel a protective aura. You feel more resilient. You become more honest with others because you care less about the judgment of people. You feel unstoppable because the heavens are with you. Literally just include prayer in your morning and nighttime routines and just do it as a daily thing. Habits stack it with something you do every day. One of the most important parts of my morning routine is just stepping outside in the sun after waking up. I've always said that this is to reset my circadian rhythm, to get better sleep at night, and to just have better overall health. But also, what better time to offer up worship to the heavens? Now I'm going to give you the actionable steps. The autistic level practical guide. Here's the basic format of worship. Start by giving thanks. Express gratitude for literally anything which comes to your mind. The gym session, laughing with your friends, the nice weather outside, whatever visual comes to your mind. Talk about anything that made your day just a little bit better. Even if you're having a terrible day, you can be thankful for the ability to speak, the ability to breathe, to walk. Then you speak of something that could be improved. Something that you need help with, something that is causing you pain. Think of what character trait you would need to overcome that pain. That is, imagine a version of you that could defeat that problem and come out on top. Do you need to be more brutally honest with yourself? Ask for the strength to be honest. Are you struggling with a difficult decision that's eating you up? Ask for guidance. Are you feeling guilty about something that you did? Ask for forgiveness. In this poll, I asked what is causing the most pain in your life, and the majority answer was lack of direction. Well, there's 2 pieces to solving that problem. One is to take action, to try new things. The other is to be able to listen to the voice inside your head, to listen to that guiding voice. But you have to ask for guidance in order to receive it. And that's it, really. That's the fundamentals of prayer, and it's true of all religions. Obviously, if you have adherence towards any particular religion, just incorporate my advice to the practices of that religion. I personally have found a lot of benefit in having a recitable prayer every single day. This is the prayer. Dear Father, I thank you for this day. Give me the strength to speak honestly. Give me the fortitude to live with honor. Give me the wisdom to know my duty. May my actions speak for me, as fortune favors the bold.